that's where the path gets laid out. You don't know the whole path until you take your first step or steps, and then it lays out ahead of you. And you have to have that first leap of faith to even try, make that first step before you're going to find out what the next step is, and the next step, and the next step. And each time you take a step, you're going to grow and become stronger and stronger and stronger, as long as you don't retreat.
Welcome to the Mind Body Podcast. I'm your host, Maria Angelova, and I'm here to challenge everything you have been told about aging and wellness. This podcast is for those who refuse to accept that growing old means growing unhealthy. Each week, I will bring you dynamic conversations with inspirational guests, sharing practical advice, insights, and motivation to live your life rebelliously as you age with grace and vitality. This is your time to embrace self-care, transformation, and an infectious spirit that says no to the conventional and yes to a vibrant, powerful life. Let's dive in and redefine what it means to live well. Hi, Rebels, and welcome to the Mind Body Podcast with my special guest today, Wendy Schultz, who is an entrepreneur extraordinaire. Wendy and I got to meet, Wendy, how many years ago? I don't even know, 8 years ago? Something like
Yeah,
that.
it's been about something like that. Yeah.
And I have to tell you, it has been an absolute privilege watching Wendy crush it and grow, and just seeing what you have done, Wendy, with your business and with your life is so inspirational. And I'm so grateful that you're here with us today to tell us a little bit more about how you did it and give us some inspiration, advice. And welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm glad we finally got our chance to get ourselves connected. We seem to be busy ladies, and
We
always
have only rescheduled this half a dozen times, but here we are.
here we are. We made it.
We made
Yeah.
it.
So I'm
So,
very excited.
Wendy,
Thank you.
tell us, let's start with telling us a little bit about who Wendy is. Give us 3 words that describe who you are as a person.
Wendy would be fun. Um, I would say very entrepreneurial minded and rebellious. So
Which is why I'm so excited that you're here, Wendy.
yes, yes. So I definitely have paved a path that is not not an ordinary path. I think it's not the path that most people would have taken. And I've been able to really do things on my terms and not follow all the rules that we were raised with. And so that has been um, a fun journey and definitely not an easy one.
You know what? I would love to talk about that. I was just at the conference this weekend and I was talking to another entrepreneur, and we were talking about where we are versus like where we started. And you also have a front row seat to my journey, the start of my
Yes.
journey, because you were in that room when I took that first summit on mindset. And we were actually in the first group, right?
Yeah.
Group coaching session together. And so you have watched me as well. And you know, it was not bright and shiny, it was gloomy and dark.
Yeah.
And I think that's important to talk about because, one, I think there is fear for a lot of people to jump and step away from what they've always done their entire life. And
Mhm.
then two is, if they bump into something that's uncomfortable, they go, well, I'm not meant to do that. And I think it's important to know that resilience plays a role into us growing as humans, and that goes into growing a business. So can you talk a
100%.
little bit about that? Because I mean, you had a big downturn as well, and you came up
Yeah.
quick and furious and thriving out of that.
We did. So, and I say we, it's my husband Scott and I who've grown the business. But when I started, I was, in corporate and decided I wanted to start a business, and so got out into and started on the retail space. So I wanted to build a storefront, and it was going to be vacation home decor. And once I got into that, I kind of naively got myself into doing hotel remodeling. So I'd never done that before, but we were ordering furniture for stores, and then we were doing flooring and cabinets and things like that. So naively stepped into that, and then through long story, but we got into selling Amazon clocks that were on nightstands in hotel rooms based on this business. And in a few years into that, we ended up having Amazon, the manufacturer, tell us they weren't going to sell to us anymore. And so within 30 days, we lost a seven-figure business. Um, and we were kind of stumbling through that and making our way and coming back from that. And then COVID hit, and we had, oh my gosh, I forgot a whole part of our business is we started this vacation rental business because we had a home that we stayed in while we were working at the store, which was about an hour and a half away. So we, stayed in this property and decided it was way more fun to rent it out. And then um, had people come to the store and asking us to rent that. So we were stumbling through, COVID hit, we lost all of our bookings. So we really hit a rock bottom. And I would say that when we started we surrendered to the, what everything that was going on and started to believe that somehow this was good. We didn't know why, we didn't know how, but we'd been told that God is good all the time. And I remember looking up at the sky being like, WTF, but not abbreviated version of that. And just really wondering what this was all about. Like we'd always thought we could always go back into corporate and start, get another job or work in a restaurant. And all of a sudden with COVID, everything like we had planned, our plan A through Z was destroyed. So we had to surrender and really just kind of give in to whatever we needed to do. And that's where we found that when we went inward, that's really where the magic started to happen. And grants, or, we had just been applying for SBA loans just a month or two before and getting denied. And then all of a sudden, the SBA is handing us these loans for COVID, and then grants that we were given for free. And all of these things when we were barely scraping two pennies together, just before, one of the worst things that could have possibly happened to a lot of people and businesses was actually the springboard to get us to where we are today. And what I find in resilience is that you can't just like you can't stop. You can't stop when it gets uncomfortable. You can't go backwards. You need to push through, because what with the pushing through is what actually grows you as a human being. And when you turn around and go backwards, it's so much easier to stop the next time you come up against that kind of a barrier. It's easier to retreat because your mind knows, your subconscious mind knows, I know how to get her to stop.
Yeah.
So it becomes a stronger thing. So you have to push through.
I don't know if you remember that very first summit when we met and I got on the mic and our coach, David, was giving me advice, and he said, you have to take the next uncomfortable step.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, in that moment, my mind went, where has the first uncomfortable step taken me? Look where I am.
Yeah.
My relationship is falling apart. I don't have a paycheck. Like, I have lost my mind. I have lost credibility. And he's going, you have to take the next step like that. And I was like, he has lost his mind. And I was like a little teenager, they're like inside my head, stomping my foot, going like, I am not doing anything crazy like that. And until I had the realization of like, if I'm going to build a business, I need to show up as the rebellious leader that I'm envisioning myself into. And yes, that does take discomfort, lots of it, into many different aspects of life. And the other thing, Wendy, that comes to mind is when COVID hit, my business used to be only in person. I used to only teach in my
I
studio.
remember that now.
And when COVID hit, I remember having a conversation with my husband, and he said, you have to close the studio. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Like, that's it. That's my income. And I had a great cry sitting by the dorm frame here. I remember vividly that.
Yeah.
And as you said, we have a great coach who, encourages you to say, where is the opportunity in all of this? And I literally sat there and I was like, I am going to start teaching online, thinking, how am I going to teach what I teach online? And that
Hmm.
was the pivoting point for my business because my business is no longer limited by serving people, in the 5 mile radius around my studio, but I have clients all around the country. And when clients travel abroad, we can still work together thanks to technology. So that was a huge shift that, like you said, I could have chosen, well, it's time to go back to corporate. This is not working.
Yeah, and actually know two people who had studios that shut down because they couldn't
Mhm.
see beyond
Mhm.
COVID.
The way
Like
they do it.
they couldn't pivot. They couldn't see the the opportunity that was there. And I mean, just think about all these other businesses too who moved online food wise too, like all these restaurants and they hadn't been ordering online, companies that decided to work remotely. I mean, there's just been so many things, but if you were so fixated on the issue or perceived issue, you won't have the opportunity to see it with new eyes, which is not
Yeah.
easy. It's not easy to do, but
And that's what I would love to talk. We both briefly mentioned mindset, and I am a huge promoter on mindset because I know personally what mindset work has done for me and how it has offered me the opportunity to see opportunities
yeah.
versus gloominess and to take action despite the discomfort, which I think is the other big piece that is missed. Hey Rebels, I want to take a quick moment to share something super exciting with you. If you've been feeling stuck, disconnected, or just know there is more to life than what you're experiencing, I have something special for you. I have created a powerful 6-step video series called Unleash Your Potential, an introduction to the Angelova method. As a valued Mind Body podcast listener, the series is my gift to you. In this series, I will guide you through the core elements of the Angelova method, a unique approach that integrates movement, mindset, and mastery to help you align your body, mind, and life. You will learn practical techniques to improve your alignment, boost your core strength, and connect deeply to your inner self. Whether you're looking to enhance your physical health, gain mental clarity, or simply live more fully, these videos are designed to get you started on the path to your most vibrant self. And the best part? It's completely free. So if you're ready to break through barriers and unleash your full potential, head over to mindbodyexpert.com and get started today. Let's take this journey together because you, my rebel, deserve nothing less than the extraordinary. Can you talk about, building a multi-million dollar business? And I also know, that was uncomfortable for your relationship, right? So it was
Mhm.
uncomfortable personally, it was uncomfortable professionally. You also have kids who are like similar age to my daughter.
Yes.
So there is a lot of dynamics going on. What would you say is to those who are listening right now and are like, man, I'm just so afraid to take that first step because what do most people say? Well, I can't do it right now because I have obligations. I can't do it right now because, my husband doesn't approve. I can't do it because XYZ, right? What do
Yeah.
you say as somebody who has actually walked that path, like has personal experience with that?
Well, I think there's a saying that if you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them.
Mm.
And that is so true because those are excuses. They're nothing but excuses. They're of people allowing themselves to stay in what's comfortable. And when you break it down, it's really not true. And you have to actually pursue it to find out what really is true. So, um, an example, when I was living in Wisconsin, I live in Florida now, but at the time I wanted to be a snowbird. So for anyone who doesn't know what a snowbird is, that is someone who lives in the snowy part of the world and they come down to Florida or Arizona for the winter to escape the snow. And I was, maybe 30s, late 30s, and I had two kids in school. And people would be like, you can't do that. And I said, well, let me just find out. And so I contacted the the principal and I said, hey, we want to take our kids out of school for like 5 weeks. What would we need to do to make that happen? And she was totally cool with it. And she was like, oh, yeah, here, we'll just have the teachers create a curriculum for you. And yeah, you can take them out. There's other kids that do it too. I'm like, really? And then, we have a business that is managing vacation rentals primarily in Wisconsin. We live in Florida. So we're managing a company that's miles and miles away.
Few states away. Yes.
Yeah, and we have, it's a 2 day trip to drive or one, couple hour plane ride. And it's people's limitations that are really what holds them back.
Yeah,
But
Maria,
then
you're right.
it's like the way I like to, my rebellious nature is let me try it. Like, let me see, let me find out. And I found out a lot of times what I think in my head is a limitation when I actually explore it is not a limitation. So
Yeah.
you have to try it though. You can't just stop at the overcomplication your brain wants to do. Immediately
Yeah.
wants to
You
overcomplicate.
have to take the action. And that's the one
Yeah.
thing I tell my clients. It's action is the only thing that will move you forward. I mean, yes, you can, we can, and we all do it, right? It's because it's so much easier to sit into our excuses because they seem so legitimate at the
Yeah.
time. And then they're reinforced by everybody around us who is like, oh, you can't do that.
Right.
And yeah, and that's why it is rebellious to say, you know what, I'm gonna follow my heartbeat and do what feels right for me and then see what it takes me. And you know what, and that's the other thing, there is a chance it might not work the first time, and that's okay because there is something you're going to learn there.
For sure. And that's where the path gets laid out. You don't know the whole path until you take your first step or steps, and then it lays out ahead of you. And you have to have that first leap of faith to even try, make that first step before you're going to find out what the next step is, and the next step, and the next step. And each time you take a step, you're going to grow and become stronger and stronger and stronger. As long as you don't retreat, you gotta,
Yeah.
you can
Yeah,
go
as long as you don't
around,
go backwards. Yeah.
don't go backwards.
And it's tempting. I do have to say, I do have to admit, like I said in the beginning, I've had that moment where it was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do anything like that again in my life. And
Mhm.
I do have to say, long term, it has paid off in amazing, incredible ways.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And we've been able to grow. Back in COVID times, we had just 12 properties, I think, and now we're up to 130 properties. Yeah.
woo!
Yes, and so
And you have another great piece to that.
what's the other great piece of that?
who
Reminds
is
me.
who is running it?
Oh, remind me, feed me some information. Yeah, so we actually have stepped away from the business. Primarily, we have a CEO that's running it. So our team is running it, led by a CEO. And so I'm semi-retired. And it's awesome because and weird because I'm not in it
Because you're
every day.
young.
Yes. And it's it's great to be able to have the freedom to do what I want in the business and to be able to do the strategy and the fun parts and not have to do some of the grind. Now, I say that as I'm in the process of completing a work comp audit that's every year. I'm like, every once in a while, you do have to plug back into that kind of stuff. But for the most part, I'm able to do what's really enjoyable and have other people to run the business. And then I can create
Yeah,
something else new, which is kind of the fun part for me is doing the creation.
creative. Yeah. Wendy, if somebody is listening right now and they're like, man, I want to build a life like that, what's the one piece of advice you give them?
Well, gosh, there's so many.
You
There's
can
so
give
many.
more than one.
Yeah, I would just say the main thing is to, I mean, look for mentors and look for places um to plug in, to find people who are doing it, but also don't get yourself too stuck in how they're doing things. So you have to, if there's a vision that you have for your life, you can make it happen. And you have to be careful not to listen to what everyone else is saying and pave your own path that way and keep your head down sometimes, and that you had to keep your head in your lane and not be watching what everyone else is doing, especially if it's not aligned with what you want to do.
Yes.
So, um, building a vacation rental company while I live, half a country away is probably not what a lot of vacation rental managers are doing. So I have
Well,
to take, some of what I learned from them and how to run the business, but also leave room for me to make it what I want and aligned with what I want. And that's how you become, pave a path, oh my gosh, path paver. That's not the right word, but I can't.
a
Trailblazer.
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 Yes.
Thank you. I was like, there's a good word here. I can't remember what it is.
You know, I so love what you're saying because just the call before we got on this podcast, I was talking to somebody about, it's great to have mentors and advisors and coaches and so forth. But I personally, and again, it's the path I have walked, is you have to follow your internal guidance. Because I'll tell you, Wendy, if I
Yes.
listen to all the advice I had of how I should do things, and it would not have been my vision. And
Yeah.
I do have to tell you, it's kind of cool. And it's like, wow, that's my baby. And it's like, it's okay that others couldn't see it. I could see it, and I can see it now, like real life creation, what you
Mhm.
talked about. And it is such a great experience.
It really is. And yeah, you just have such an immense source of pride from that. And then also you get to be an example for other people who want what you want and didn't think it was possible, and you showed that it is possible. I mean, that's pretty amazing. It's really
Yeah.
amazing.
Well, you're definitely an inspiration, Wendy. And I'm so excited that we have stayed in touch, that you're to this day an inspiration. And I will ask you here, you mentioned the word rebellious a few times. What is your definition of rebellious?
Um, I would say it's someone who's not a rule follower, is going to do things on their terms, do things their way, and um, screw what everyone else says.
That's why I like you use my type of vocabulary. I think that's essential.
That's right. That's
So
right.
express yourself, yes. Wendy, if people want to follow you, ask a question, are intrigued by your story and want to learn more, where can they find you?
Yeah, so our company is simpleliferentals.com, and that's where we manage our vacation rentals. I also am on Facebook under Simple Life Rentals. My name, Wendy Schultz on Facebook, and I'm on Instagram at Wendy Working at the Beach.
Ah, yes. Wendy is at the beach these days. I know I see your sunset pictures and swimming
Yes.
pictures. I love it. I absolutely love the life you have built. And like I
Mm,
said, it is such an inspiration to actually having watched you build it, right?
yeah,
So
that's
being
right.
behind the scenes, seeing what it takes. Yeah, you're an inspiration, girlfriend, and keep going
Oh, thank
because yeah,
you.
you're
Thank you.
inspiring many of us.
Thank you. It's fun to be witnessing other people, including, me witnessing you grow through very difficult times, it's not
Yeah.
roses all the time, and that's what makes it sweeter in the long run.
Yeah, definitely does. Ooh, I'm getting goosebumps and you're making me tear-eyed.
Oh,
Thank you. Well, Wendy, listen, thank you so much for your time. I am so grateful for your friendship, for you making time to be here with us today, away from the beach or away from the audit,
I
whichever
got
one
my
it
palm
is.
trees. I got my palm trees.
Yes. And Rebels, you know the spiel. Share this episode with anybody who can get inspired. I would highly recommend that you follow Wendy story because she is a phenomenon and we can all learn and be inspired by her. And she is somebody who walks the talk. She doesn't just talk. And once again, Wendy, thank you so much. Rebels, thank you so
Oh, thanks
much.
for having me. So great to see you.
Yes, don't forget to stay rebellious. We will see you next time. Thank you for joining us on the Mind Body Podcast, where we explore the power of living authentically and rebelliously. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a fellow rebellious soul who would love to hear what we share as much as you do. Stay strong, stay calm, and most importantly, stay rebellious. Until next time, rebellious souls, keep living fully. Your journey is just beginning.